And within a few weeks, I received a call from a brother Brahmananda who said, yes, you definitely should do this. So here we are, we're doing it. May the chips fall where they may. Regarding the accuracy of one's memory when the divine speaks to one in one's own language, she says,
These words do not vanish from the memory for a long time. Some indeed never vanish at all. Words which we hear on earth, I mean from men, however weighty and learned they may be, we do not bear so deeply engraven upon our memory, nor, if they refer to the future, do we give credence to them as we do to these locutions. For these last impress us by their complete certainty, in such a way that although sometimes they seem quite impossible of fulfillment, and we cannot help wondering if they will come true or not, and although our understanding may hesitate about it, yet within the soul itself there is a certainty which cannot be overcome.
and how to further discriminate between divine voices and one's own imagination. Here are the reasons that she gives to believe that the voice that one hears is the divine voice.
The first reason is that some locutions are very much clearer than others. The genuine locution is so clear that even if it consists of a long exhortation, the hearer notices the omission of a single syllable, as well as the phraseology which is used. But in locutions which are created fancifully by the imagination, the voice will be less clear and the words less distinct. They will be like something heard in a half dream. The second reason is that often the soul has not been thinking of what it hears. I mean that the voice comes unexpectedly, sometimes even during a conversation, although it frequently has references to something that was passing quickly through the mind or to what one was previously thinking of. But often it refers to things which one never thought would or could happen, so that the imagination cannot possibly have invented them, and the soul cannot be deceived about things it has not desired or wished for or that have never been brought to its notice.
That's why I still feel that those words that I heard in my head when I was standing on the street corner in Los Angeles and Guruji was before me, and I heard those words, no, Father, you don't understand. I'm supposed to go with this man. It doesn't seem to me that those were my words. They don't reflect my beliefs at the time. I just feel that those came from Guruji.
The third reason is that in genuine locutions, the soul seems to be hearing something, whereas in locutions invented by the imagination, someone seems to be composing bit by bit what the soul wishes to hear. The fourth reason is that there is a great difference in the words themselves. In a genuine locution, one single word may contain a world of meaning such as the understanding alone could never put rapidly into human language. The fifth reason is that frequently not only can words be heard, but in a way which I shall never be able to explain, much more can be understood than the words themselves convey, and this without any further utterance.
From my own experience, I know that what she says is true. So far, Guruji has spoken to me something approaching a dozen times. Mataji has spoken to me twice, and each time the words were crystal clear, in contrast to, say, the words from my wife. Even when she was in her 20s and I was in my 30s, I had trouble hearing the last words of her sentences. And that's because human communication is fraught with so many problems. The person speaking has to speak loud enough and clearly enough, has to enunciate the words appropriately so that the hearer can understand the words, and then the hearer has to interpret the words. It's a wonder that we can communicate as well as we do. In contrast, divine words are imparted directly into intuition. There's no intermediary of physical processes in the ear and the brain and so on that might distort the words. They come directly into the consciousness. Now, we usually think of intuition as an error-prone process, and that's what it is for most of us, because we haven't been trained in intuition. In school, we get trained in logical thinking to a slight extent, not as much as I wish we would be trained. But we get a little bit of training in logical thought, a little bit of training in memorization often. But who among us has been given training in intuition? Nevertheless, true intuition is, and I quote, direct perception of truth without the intermediary of the senses. Because it relies upon the omniscient divinity instead of upon the fallible senses and fallible reason, true intuition is infallible. And just as I learned to solve problems in algebra and calculus when I was studying engineering, so it is that we can be trained to improve our intuitional skills. Guruji says this intuitive power can be developed by learning the step-by-step methods of scientific, deepest meditation that lead to self-realization. Now notice the word scientific. What does he mean by that word, and why does it, how dare he use that word in talking about something that is essentially a religious topic? Well, when I wrote my master's thesis, when I wrote my PhD dissertation, when I wrote my other scientific reports, I had to describe precisely the procedure that I had followed in the experiment, and then I had to describe precisely the observations that I made as a result of those procedures. It is this precise description of the procedure and the precise description of the results that makes a report scientific. And the reason why we need that precision is so that others can replicate the study. If you describe the procedures thoroughly enough, then they can do the procedures and they can observe the results to see if their results are the same as yours. And so it is with meditation. If you follow the procedures exactly, will you get the same results as Yoganandji, as Santa Teresa, as Jesus? It's like baking a cake. If you have a recipe that is precise enough, and if it is followed exactly by a Muslim, do you get a Muslim cake? Does a Christian get a Christian cake? Does a Jew get, well, okay, maybe a Jew gets a kosher cake, but you get the point. If they follow the procedure precisely, they get exactly the same kind of cake, regardless of their religion. Religion doesn't have any impact on the cake that they get because it's a scientific process. And that's the way it is with the step-by-step meditation procedures taught by Yoganandji. They're very precise, very detailed, pages and pages of instructions. And if you follow those instructions precisely, well, then you will get the same results. And you can test it yourself. You don't have to take it on faith. But the point being that a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or an atheist even, if they follow these procedures exactly, then they're going to get the same results.